Whatever psychedelic drugs they're serving over in Harrenhal, think they need to start shipping those out because Damon is on one. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did It. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. Just over the halfway mark here with House of the Dragon, episode 5 called Regent. Just Regent, not the Regent. This episode is a much calmer episode than the last big action sequence that we had, but this is sort of the two factions retreat back home and sort of lick their wounds because all of them had something that occurred to them that devastated, and they have to sort of regroup and figure out what the next plan of attack is. Of course, the first person that we have to spend time with in this episode is Corlys, as Rhaenys has fallen, and so it is. The word has gotten back to Dragonstone, and you can see the reactions that both Corlys and Rhaenyra have, and the massive loss that they have. Sounds sort of callous, but not only did they lose Rhaenys, they also lost a dragon, probably their best dragon, and arguably their best dragon rider outside of Rhaenyra, who should not be going out to battle. Cole exacts the bright idea of having Melis's head, the dragon's head, cut off and paraded through King's Landing, while all the townsfolk look on in sort of horror. Also, with the king's body, it's not unclear. I think they do. I think the word has sort of gotten out that Aegon is also sort of taking damage, but his is sort of covered up, so it's not blatantly obvious to those who don't know that the king is also trailing behind him. But even if the king's not there, it is a hard thing for the folks of King's Landing to see that, because they've always put these dragons up there in high regard. They're like, those are gods, and now you've shown that they can fall, and you've sort of taken a strike across the bow that, like, we're in danger here. They're going to come back. If you've taken one of their dragons, they have more. It's not just one dragon over there. They're going to come back and burn this place down. We shouldn't be here. We don't have enough bread. We don't have enough food. We don't have enough water. Like, we are living check to check, if you will. And so those folks starting to get worried and nervous and just not in the best. This isn't working, I think, the way that he thought it was going to work. Also, then Lady Hightower is sort of standing up on a bridge and sort of seeing Aegon come in, and notice and clocks that Aemon has his knife on his hilt, on his belt, and just sort of clocks that. One of many things that she's watching and seeing how Aemon is sort of operating in this situation. Aegon gets put into his bed, and he is in a bad way. He is badly burned up. Anytime that they take off any of the armor that was in place, it was burned to his flesh, and sort of removing it is causing more damage and blood to come out. He's broken bones. He is not well, and not conscious. And so while he is not dead, he is as close as he can be to that, which means they need to have a successor. And this Aemon just walks in the room and is like, well, he doesn't look too good. He looks in a pretty bad way. We should be discussing a successor. And he's less concerned about the fate of his brother and more concerned about who's going to rule now. He knows that if Aegon's not up, I am. And where Lady Hightower collects that and says, okay, I'm concerned about my son, and this is the first thing that you come in and talk about. To that point, that Lady Hightower goes to go chin check Kristen. Like, what the hell happened out there in Rookswood? Like, what was the plan? Kristen sort of says that, hey, the plan worked to what we needed to do, and King Aegon, fought valiantly. She's like, okay, cool. What about Aemon? Like, what was he doing out there? And he's like, well, I can't say what he was up, even though the two of them coerced this entire plan into being effect. It is interesting to see if Aegon was always in Aemon's plans. Like, I wonder if Aemon knew that, hey, I know my brother. He's a hothead. He's going to be out here. Or did he just take an opportunity and say, hey, he's out here. I'm going to curse the shit out of both of these. Who knows? But it worked out in his favor. But Cole was covering up for him. Like, nope, not telling anything about what Aemon had in this. I don't know what he was doing there. On the other side, Dragonstone's council meets and they discuss the loss of both Rhaenys and a dragon. Um, Arguably, it's their largest dragon. They don't have a dragon that size to sort of combat Vhagar, who is this big behemoth of a thing. And while they do sort of acknowledge that, yes, it did take a dragon off of the board, it sounds like Aegon's dragon is dead. We're still down one, and if Vhagar is up still and ready to go right back at it, and Aegon's not in the lead, which means Aemond is, we need to be at the ready because they're going to come back to us quickly. Sir Alfred, again, continues to keep questioning Rhaenyra in front of the rest of the council and just keep checking. She's like, she just has, like, real quick, are you aligned with me? Like, what is your deal? Like, you just keep giving me shit all the time. And he sort of throws in some misogyny, not the last that we're going to see in this episode. But he throws in some misogyny and sort of says that a man would be more prepped for war times than a woman. The woman's going to do the more peaceful thing. And she kind of reminds him, like, hey, real quick, you were around in a time of peace as well. You have about as much battle and war experience as I do. So sit your ass down and stop stepping out the line. They say that they should strike now while Vhagar is weak. And Rhaenyra keeps saying that she should be the one to get up on that dragon to do so. Because what she's saying basically is that if she's looking at the the realm now with Rhaenys gone, she's the best dragon rider that they have, and with the best dragon. So she's the best option for helping her team, but they are all shutting that down. Like, no, you're the queen. You cannot go out. We can put out anybody else, but you cannot be the person. You're not the option. And it's sort of we learn that it's sort of how Jace feels about being put on the shelf. She's being put on the shelf, and she's the queen. Oh, so it's a little worse for her because these people are here to protect her. Speaking of Jace is becoming restless. He's telling Rhaena that he wants to go out, and Rhaena kind of is like, well, tries to coerce him and talk to him. He's like, I got a plan. I'm going to go talk to these twins, see if I can get the Freys on our side to sort of build an alliance and kind of do so without my mom knowing. So you can't tell her until I am way gone. Then we see that Daemon takes the Blackwoods and goes to go meet some Brackens and say, hey, get into the knee, come to our side, or I'm going to burn you. And they're like, cool, burn us then. If you're going to do it. Stop talking about it, be about it. And he doesn't. He does not burn them. He lets them go. And he does so saying, hey, those are the type of soldiers that I want on my team. If a person is willing to be burned rather than to bend the knee, that means they're loyal. That means they will fight tooth and nail, and they are some tough sons of bees. And I want them. So whatever the beef is between the Blackwoods and the Brackens, I need you to deal with it. Be as persuasive as you possibly can, but get them to our side because I think they will do us wonders if they were with us. And so they go and attempt to do so. Don't know how well that the attempt went, but I do know that it didn't go well. Rhaenyra has a conversation with Mysaria talking about how she just feels trapped and how she can't get out and do what she wants to do or the plans that she wants to do. These men keep trying to shut her down, and Mysaria is kind of just like, look, real quick, I get that. I get all of that. But I think we've got some ways to play with this and things to do to sort of get what it is you need. Whatever Christian Cole did, it's sort of backfired, and people are trying to abandon the keep. They're leaving left and right. I think we can find a way. I think you can use people to find a way to get you some information to get what it is that you need out of them. And you don't have to be the one to do it. Just use us to do so, and we will do that for you. And so she's basically sends a spy to infiltrate King's Landing and sort of get some words on what's happening on from the inside. Meanwhile, the walls of Harrenhal continue to do some mind twists on poor Daemon, and he is in a pretty extensive sex scene and with his mom. Yeah, we find out that he is talking to Alyssa Targaryen. Viserys and his mother, whom he never met. So that's why he didn't have a reaction to what she looked like, because he didn't know what she looked like. But when she says "mom," that's when he puts it two together. And then Arya says later something in response about the mom. So like she's playing a puppet game with him in his dreams, in his mind as well. He wakes up to Simon Strong talking about, hey, Lars cut off our money. I don't know if you were aware of that, but we don't have money coming into here. He has set it up so that the money that he would get as kingdom has been funneled back to King's Landing. So we were kind of hoping that Queen Rhaenyra, since we've been the knee, she would be able to fund some things over here. And James like, nah, that ain't gonna happen. Basically, just poo-poos that because he has a plan and he can't really let Queen Rhaenyra know about it, because if she gets her sort of full mitts in onto Harrenhal, he won't get to do what it is that he wants to do, which essentially we find out is he wants to take Harrenhal and then take over King's Landing with an army, and he is the king, and then Rhaenyra sort of comes to her side, his side, as his queen, because he says, even though I would like it, but nobody is going to take service from a female king. Like it's not going to happen. They're not going to take from a queen. So that is the best way for us to rule. It's his selfish way of saying, I want to be the king and I'm the I. But yeah, that's sort of his game plan. It's funny in this piece, Simon keeps calling him Your Grace. He's like, look, that's going to be the last time. You need to refer to me as a king. And they're kind of like, well, you're not the king. And so he gets a nice little king's consort at the very end of that. Yeah, so you're the king's side piece. Like you don't have any weight. You're not a king. You're not a prince. You're the king's F toy. So the grace is about the best you're going to get right now. Back at King's Landing, they're having a roundtable at the council and trying to decide who the successor is, because Lady Hightower comes in with the doctor and basically is like, there's nothing we can do right now. He is just in the Lord's hands, and we will see if he wakes up. There's a high probability that he won't. And so they're like, okay, then this opens up the discussion for who should be the successor. Misogyny comes through. And Loras probably has the best verbal reasoning for it, but Lady Hightower pretty much says I should be the successor. I ruled when Viserys was down. I ruled in his stead, and they're like, well, that was a moment of peace. We were in peace in that point. You didn't have to. We need somebody who's a little bit more violent, a little bit more aggressive right now. And so the doctor backs her up. It's like, well, no, she's done this before. That's the only one who does, though. Everybody else shuts it down and says that no, Aegon should be the successor. And they essentially, in a roundabout way, start saying like, "Hey, because we need a man. We need somebody who can call a war and do some of the dirty things that we need to have done." They ask Loras, and Loras specifically just says, and he's not wrong. We've built our entire run here on the fact that we are going against the fact that there could be a female heir or a female queen. It would look really bad for us to put a female in place when that is what we've been very much against. And so while Allison doesn't want to hear it, that might be the most logical thing that has been said in this room. But she also is doing this not only because she thinks she can sort of quench things and calm things down, but she also feels like Aemon did a lot of this for a reason. Like this was the plan. So then she throws it to Kristen Cole, saying like, hey, if I can at least get Cole, I might split this vote a little bit. Kristen's like, nah, Aegon should be the successor. He should be the one. You can tell he is kind of broken. He is not the man that he was before Rooks happened. We learn later that the visceral reaction of seeing all the bodies being burned and people, he says, I thought I'm doing you a favor. I am sparing you of this because what we about to do is grimy. Like we about to do some grimy stuff. And there needs to be a dragon rider who is leading us, and that's not you. She's like, cool. Don't ever say my name again. Don't expect you get none of this again. But yeah, he is a shell of himself, and that war or that battle not only because he saw his bodies, but because he also had a hand in what's happened to Aegon. It's just sort of taken an effect on him. He quickly gets into action, and his first two orders of business is to take all the rat catchers, which are still just hanging up and stanking up King's Landing, take them all down, and to lock up the doors so that anybody who is trying to leave King's Landing, that ain't happening. So there is a mass exodus that's trying to leave, and he sort of shuts that down and does not allow that to happen, thus turning some of the folks at King's Landing. Anybody who can get free and is seeing how this is going down or feeling how this is going down, if they are able to get on the other side, they're going to immediately be open as a free agent, if you will, and perhaps be more willing to put their loyalty towards Rhaenyra. Jace meets with the Freys. Pretty cool shot, the bridge that they go on. It's a really well done shot. Sometimes you forget because we're doing such close quarters and we're always in either Dragonstone's Council, King's Landing Council, or Harrenhal. You forget sometimes this is Game of Thrones and we do these scaling shots, and that's a pretty important shot to show us like, oh yeah, no, this place is still massive. He makes it to the Freys, and they want the protection of Rhaenyra's dragons. Like that's what they want on their behalf. Jace just openly grants it to him. Like, yeah, no, cool, we can do that. And they're like, okay, hold on. We also want Daemon's loyalty as well. And so, since these dragons can't be everywhere at once, we also would like to have Harrenhal. And Jace just says, cool, yeah, no, you can have that too. But if you're going to give that, then you're going to need to bend the knee. And they're like, okay, yeah, we can do that. That seems way too easy, Jace. Like, something terrible is going to happen. Omens sort of run around with the phrase and Starks. That was just a very simple exchange. And like, I'm glad that Jace took the initiative to go do so. He should. And Rhaenyra sort of thanks him later for doing so. Yeah. Just too simple. Daemon gets word that the Brackens have taken a knee. So he feels a little good about himself. Like, my plan worked. Good for me. He then it's some bad news. He then wakes up to Simon waking him up saying, hey, like the Lords of Riverland are here. They're here now and they want to see you. And it's in the middle of the night. They're just like, get him up. We want to talk to him. Gets out there and talks to him, and they basically said, hey, Brackens took a knee, but it was barbarically. Like the Blackwoods came in and pillaged, ransacked, burned, killed every man, hunted our women and children. They did so in such a way that was just very, there were no morals to it. It was what we expect of a king who would order to have a child murder in their mother's hands. He's like, hold on, wait, who's saying that? And they're like, the entire kingdom. Everybody talking about it. We know it's you. And they're at that point said that there's no way in the world that they're going to pledge their allegiance to them. So yeah, they lost the Riverlands. Whoops. Before that happens, though, Rhaenyra sends Sir Alfred mostly to get him just out of her ear. Like, stop bothering me every time that I come up with a plan or an idea. But sends him off to Harrenhal to be like, hey, I need you to give me word on what Daemon's doing. Because basically he should have responded back by now. And I just want to see what his plan is. If he's setting up an army for himself or he's setting up an army for me. But either way, I need you to go and do that. He questions it at first, like, are you just trying to get rid of me? Like, nah, which she is, but she's also killing two birds with one stone here. Bella goes to go see her grandfather, Corlys, and she is offering the hand for Rhaenyra at her request. And he's like, no, man, she done enough. Like, hasn't she had enough of my family? Like, she's lost my wife. My family has done enough in service of her. And Bella's like, well, no, she is doing this because she honors you and honors us and wants somebody who she believes in at her side. And he's like, hasn't my house done enough? And Bella reads him nice to the point where he's like, all right, cool, give me the thing. And eventually we see that he does take the hand. You can also see there's a moment where he asks Bella to be his heir. And he's like, nah, No, I'm not of the sea and salt. That's on y'all. I'm not. That's not me. You get a nice shot of Aemon staring at the Iron Throne, um, and you hear a voice behind him or some noise behind him, and it's his sister, Aegon's sister slash mother of his kids. And she asks, "Was it worth the price?" We don't get an answer from Aemon, but we know for him, yeah, yeah, it was. Especially because his brother was tormenting him. It's funny. It would seem like for most, what Aemon did is just he's an a-hole and he's just questioning for power. But they set it up in a way that Aegon was such a dick to Aemon that you're kind of like, I can see why he might go that way. Rhaenyra is trying to look up some things and just trying to figure out what's the next course of action. So Jace comes to see her and bringing news of what the Freys want. It's like the Freys will take a knee. We give them Harrenhal. She's like, all right, cool. Thank you for going to do that. He's like, well, you seem kind of upset about it. He's like, well, I'm upset because I'm trapped. Like, you got to go out there and, like, yeah, you didn't ask for permission. You should have, but I'm not even allowed to do so. And I'm the queen. Like, I just feel trapped. I'm a dragon rider. I'm a person of battle. Like, I need to be out there and I can't because of this crown that I have. And we need to figure out a plan because now that Aegon is done, Aemon is in control. Aemon is going to put pedal to the metal. He knows he has the upper hand. He knows he has the bearded dragon. We need to be in a position where we are ready to battle back. To that point that Jay says, we have two dragons below us. Like, other than your dragon, we have two more. We have Fermentor and Silverwing under we and Rhaenyra's like, well, cool. We don't have riders for them. And we can't say Rhaena because last time that she got on there, yeah, that didn't go well. So she's not even an option. We need dragon riders, and we don't have anybody else who has Targaryen blood who would be able to ride one of these. And Jason's like, well, maybe we need to think out the box a little bit. How about we can follow the Targaryen bloodline. There are some folks that have drops, a couple of drops, maybe not nearly as much as us, but they have a couple of drops of Targaryen blood in them. Maybe we go that way and see if we can get them to be able to ride. Queen Rhaenyra counters with like, hey, Valyrian history says that this probably is not going to work. Like, riders need to be born of this, and it's like, yeah, that's Valyrian history. Is what Jay says. Like, can't really trust them. They are specifically putting those things in there for a reason. Plus, what do we have to lose? Let's give it a shot. They should be able to track this pretty quickly. Um, let's put a Malister on a dragon, see what the hell happens, or Tarly. As long as they have some drop of Targaryen blood, let's give it a shot. It's better than just admitting defeat right away. And it's like, it's a mad plan, but it's a mad plan that might work. And right now, we're out of options. So let's give it a shot. And that's the episode. We're going recruiting, especially since Damon is effing up. Damon got selfish and wanted to come up with an army for himself. And in doing so, continued a war and then pissed off another group of people that unfortunately Harrenhal is not them. And so now that Harrenhal is not belonging to them, they don't have it to give. They don't know this yet. They think that if Damon's there, we have Harrenhal to give. They don't. So the phrase, there's a lot of these relationships that are built on tenuous things, and one thing has to work for another to work. And it's not all planning out as well as they think. And so it is going to be interesting to see where allegiances actually lie and who actually is on Rhaenyra's side when it all comes down, because there are a lot of bridges being burned. And I would say that it's clear. I still hate Cole. I still think he's a petty man, but it's clear that he's grown up a little bit because he's seen some things now, and he no longer um, does things on impetus. Like, he feels like a very different character than he was when he sent Eric or Arik, I don't, one of the twins, when he sent them over to go kill Rhaenyra. He doesn't seem like the same person, but we know he's still a petty man. Poor Lady Hightower. She's watching one kid. She lost a grandson. She's watching her other kid burned up to a crisp, die, and then the kid that she doesn't trust as much probably is responsible for it. There is more stuff happening within the Hightower side of things than there is between Rhaenyra and them. But no, great episode. It's fun that this is an episode that does not have battles. It's very small. It's very intimate. Both teams have sort of gone back to their corners to retreat, but there is a lot that takes place in it. And I think Game of Thrones is one of the better shows of doing so much world building and chess piece moving within one single episode, and it doesn't feel like it's getting overly bogged down. But what did you guys think about this episode called Regent? Go ahead and leave your thoughts and comments in the comments below. If you haven't already, you can follow us on Twitter at HollywoodADI. You can hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDid@gmail.com. We also have a podcast with the same name that's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere that plays podcasts. We're there. And like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.